Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. We have a very special discussion, especially for all the students out there, for all the 11th graders, 12th graders, even those 10th graders that are looking forward to landing those engineering jobs and aspiring to become doctors, astronauts, essentially trying and looking forward to take coaching for competitive exams. Today, folks, let's take a deep dive into India's coaching boom. From digital mobile applications to legacy coaching centers and new bright advertisement boards springing up in every other corner, especially closer to education hubs. Coaching for competitive exam is the rat race most students find themselves running today. Some who want to really do it, really bat their point home. Others who have been forced to or couldn't say no to their parents. Maybe a few who don't have any other option if climbing up the social ladder is at stake. Sample this. Over 10 lakh students applied for IIT JEE exams last year. Only 10,000 make it to the top 23 IITs. 80% of these students make it to coaching centers. Now in class 11th, to make sure that they are part of that prestigious and esteemed 10,000 students that make it to those prime institutions. Over 2 lakh become Kotavasis, and this is not even the tip of the iceberg. And needless to say, anything that is in the trend is susceptible to capitalist reflex. From the rupees 24,000 crore in 2015, the industry's annual revenue is now pegged at rupees 64,224 crore. The same number is pegged to be 1,33,000 crore in the year 2028. Fancy this for a comparison. India's coaching industry stands at rupees 71,000 crore. The Union HRD Ministry's education spend is rupees 1,12,899 crore. Delhi's government budget for 2023-2024 is rupees 78,000 crore. The state budget for the state of Goa for the same period is rupees 26,844 crore. Manrega budget is only 60,000 crores. So much money being pumped into the education sector. So push these kids into early foundation laying for competitive exams and wish them luck as they aim for the stars. But here's the dark part. The unrealistic pressure we put on our children, robbing them rather of their childhood, turning them into mini adults. All this can lead down a narrow and dreadful road. Suicides that have been blamed on the NEET exam and other exams, particularly in Tamil Nadu, are in the headlines every few months. The state demanding exemption from it, from the exam's ambit. 121 suicides in Kota since the year 2011 alone. So losing their sense of self, learning outcome versus assessment. Is the coaching boom eating our early teens alive? Is the stress and anxiety and the gruesome process too damning on our students? Or is it the best a country with the maximum population can do? A level playing field where it doesn't matter and nobody's bothered about who your father or parents are or where you come from. We're going to be opening up this discussion to the man behind this particular story. We also have an educationist with us on the panel. But before that, take a look at this new docu-series, a snippet of that documentary called The Rat Race, only on our OTT platform News9 Plus, the world's first OTT news. Take a look at that snippet and we'll talk about it more.
ये 2 साल ऐसा है कि मतलब अगर अच्छा कर गए तो लाइफ आगे अच्छा है, नहीं तो फिर और स्ट्रगल करना पड़ेगा आगे जाके।
एक लड़का निकला घर से, सर पे जिम्मेदारी बहुत सी, ये कोचिंग वोचिंग जैसे लगे पूरी मौत सी।
लगता है ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट तो हो ही जाए जल्दी।
For me, my competition is excellence. I want to become a software engineer. I'll crack NEET and I'll be a doctor one day.
जैसे एक्टर बनना है लेकिन इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि मतलब सभी लोग कर रहे हैं।
People will compromise on buying clothes. They will postpone buying a house. They will not buy a car, but they'll definitely send their kid to the best coach.
The lost childhood, because coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कितनी टेंशन्स दिमाग में है, कितना ओवरलोड है, घर वालों की गालियों का भी ना कोई तोड़ है। एंजाइटी से भरे मेरे जितने भी विचार हैं, कल एंट्रेंस टेस्ट है और आज से बुखार है।
Mic check, mic check. My name is Nanya. Just like my name, my hobbies, interests, and what intrigues me is also very unique. I am 13 years old. I just started 8th grade. When I was just starting 6th grade and coming to DPS RK Puram, I felt that now things are going to go notch higher. So I felt that Fiji was something which is apt to start at a young age, so that you are strengthening your concepts and you have everything right when you go into higher classes.
My name is यथार्थ मन शुक्ला। पढ़ाई में मैं कभी मतलब फर्स्ट नहीं आया कभी भी, मतलब कभी भी नहीं, हमेशा सेकंड थर्ड ही रहा हूँ।
What is a 14-year-old? A 14-year-old is a child, but you made him into a miniature adult. It's also that there's so much of aspiration within children and there isn't a realistic connection between their goals and their aspirations.
Competitive exams, NEET, IIT, CLAT, all these exams are largely a passport to social mobility. If you are able to do well in these exams, it doesn't matter who your father is.
You'll be surprised how many students I ask, what is your strength, what are you good at, and they go, mom. If I ask a parent, what is your child good at, they may not be able to answer it because they never thought what the child is good at. They just thought this is what the child should be doing, they should be doing that.
बजा अलार्म बने पलटे चलते चलते ऐसी रेस में है पहुंचे जहां कॉम्पिटिटर बहुत कोटा जाने वाले बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में कोटा जाके किस्मत चमकेगी या फिर वहीं पे रह जाएगी तेरी सारी फैंटेसी ये कोटा वोटा सपना था सपने जी रहे हैं वैसे कोचिंग में भी बस थोड़े दिन ही रह रहे हैं करो मेहनत मेहनत रातें बातें जाग के मंजिल तो मिलेगी बेटा खुद पीछे भाग के
But that's a snippet. You can download the application from the Google App Store or the Apple App Store and check out other incisive analysis and cutting-edge documentaries as well. But coming back to the rat race, we've got Ghulam Jilani with us. He's the man behind this particular journalistic piece. From rap music, Ghulam, to the various talking heads in the documentary, it is, you know, a really crucial point that you have touched upon. And also joining us on the broadcast is Kapil Gupta, CEO of neatprep.com. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Also, great to hear your opinions in that particular documentary as well. The lone warrior when it came to, you know, defending these coaching institutes, if I may. But, you know, Ghulam, you know, just to get the ball rolling here, hope, aspirations, careers, competitive exams, these are essentially the words that came about. The wonder years in these miniature adults, the childhood that we're robbing from these kids. How did you come up to this particular point? Why did you think in contemporary times this is a story that needs to be done? Because I'll tell you what, I go back home every day and, you know, across various coaching institutes, now CUET is a big, fresh, shiny board that has now been added to that list of various competitive exams as well. So certainly this is an industry and certainly this is something that the community should be talking about.
Yes, Kabir, it's as you rightly said, it's a very crucial issue. You know, every individual is affected by this industry. You know, every household has a kid who is going to a coaching institute, right? As Kapil Gupta was saying in the documentary, you may want to compromise on your houses, you may want to compromise on your clothes, your cars, but you want to send your kid to the best coaching institute. And you know, we started 2 months ago, we came across this report wherein we saw that 25 kids had committed suicides last year. You know, students. Of these, 15 were from Kota. So we decided, me and my producer Lakshna Gulati, we decided we went to Kota first. We met students there, we met parents there, we met teachers there. Then we also went to Jaipur, we went to various coaching hubs in Delhi also. There is Mukherjee Nagar, there is Kallu Sarai, there are other hubs. So, the point is that it is not confined to Kota only. These coaching hubs are expanding out and beyond Kota. You know, in Jaipur, for example, the government, the Rajasthan government is building a huge coaching hub in a place called Sanjay Nagar. So, it is a huge upcoming building wherein they say 30,000 students will get coaching. So, it is an important issue. If you talk to these kids in Kota or in Jaipur, you know, the bottom line is that these kids don't think anything else in their life. You know, you ask any kid, what if you don't get an MBBS seat? What if you don't crack an IIT examination? What if you don't become a doctor? Every kid we met, I repeat, was like, sir, karna to yahi hai. There is no other option. You know, there is a very thin line between goal and aspiration. You know, one thing is goal, that you want to be a doctor in life. One thing is aspiration. These kids are full of aspirations. You know, there are 2.5 lakh kids in Kota, and each and every kid is like, हमारी जिंदगी तो कोटा में ही है. They don't think beyond Kota. They don't think what was before Kota. So this is a very crucial thing. You know, on one side you have these, you know, only 10,000 seats in IITs. You have only around 25,000 seats of MBBS in medical colleges, and then you have 7 crore kids enrolled in coaching institutes. What we found in this story was that, you know, from a 24,000 crore industry in 2014, the industry has grown to 70,000 crore rupees, and as you rightly mentioned, it is going to cross 1 lakh crore in 2028, which is as good as total budget of Ministry of HRD, Education Ministry, Union Education Ministry. Right. So, on one side you have an Education Ministry, the Union Education Ministry, the Central Government Education Ministry, which has a budget of 1 lakh crore. On the other side, you have this parallel industry of coaching institutes, which is totally unregulated, and its budget is almost as good as the Union Education budget. So, this has become a necessary evil. You know, as one of the talking heads told us, it is an existential crisis. Earlier, you know, I remember when we used to go to school, we were told after 10th you got to enroll yourself in coaching institute. But now you meet kids. We have a kid in our story. We met kids in Kota. They go to these coaching institutes from class 6th. Imagine 10 years before appearing for an examination, a kid is made to study at a coaching center. And this is if you talk to kids again, they say, "Pehle to parents ne humko." Parents ka dream tha. This means in the beginning it was their parents' dream, but eventually they are put in this kind of pressure and it becomes their dream also. They want.
Well, they don't know anything else, but that's because they don't necessarily know anything else. But at the same time, you know, I'm going to take this question to Kapil Gupta. Mr. Gupta, you know, help us understand. We're talking about these big fancy numbers. We're talking about how this entire industry goes unregulated and is going to be compared at power with the education spent by the union government. But at the same time, I mean, one wouldn't expect anything less. We are the biggest, the most populated country on the planet right now, and competition is going to be cutthroat, isn't it? Is there really a problem here, essentially, or is this just survival of the fittest?
We are an opportunity-starved country, right? In the sense that all of us would want to be in IIT. Ideally, government would want a lot more IITs with the same quality as IIT Delhi or Bombay or Chennai. But there are very few, and it somehow so happens because there are limited jobs in the market. The first preference is always people who are coming out of these institutions, and you hear all those news of big salary packages which people get out of getting out of IIT. So somehow it has become your passport to social mobility. Either your dad has a lot of money, or you do well in these exams and you are able to get in front of the line. There is no other way of getting in front of the line. So that is where this aspiration gets driven. You might be from whatever town, whatever remote area. If you're able to crack one of these exams, it doesn't matter who your dad is, how much his bank balance is. You can be guaranteed a good life. So that is what is driving this aspiration and dreams and this rush to coaching institutes.
But you know, I mean, the other talking heads in the documentary spoke about how these are young adults now. We've turned our children into miniature adults. These guys are 13, 12, 14 years old, and we're pushing them into, you know, coaching industries. And you rightly pointed out in the documentary that, people would not buy fancy cars or a house, but would make sure that they go to the best coaching center. Now, are we pushing our children down a lane where we're robbing them of childhood, or is this in the larger context for their own benefit? Is there any good that comes out of it? I know there is stress. There is going to be something will have to give for you to get something. But is there any good? I mean, on the Libra scales, does the good outweigh the bad in this process?
I went to, I prepared for my IIT in 1996 and 1997, right? And I got into IIT Delhi. Whatever our family, I come from a lower middle class background. Whatever our family could fathom to save was put into making me go to those tuition. There weren't big coaching classes at that time, but there was still this understanding that getting into IIT would require extra help. So if I look at my life, I think yes, it makes sense. But having said that, somehow these have become the phrase that is there, do or die exams. Somehow that do or die has to be taken out, because no exam is worth dying for. That I'm 100% sure about. I have seen a lot of people, as I've done my BTech and MBA, worked at multiple places in India and outside. I've seen enough people who don't go to all these fancy colleges for which you're aspiring to through these competitive exams and do well in their life. So I think those stories are not coming out enough. Like your channel has done this story about what challenge coaching institutes are creating. There could also be a story how many people who don't get into IIT and medical colleges, big medical colleges, are still very, very successful. That would give a lot of confidence to people. Vijay Shekhar Sharma from Paytm never went to an IIT. And there are, I can give a lot of examples of people who have been very successful without getting into IIT. So that will take away a lot of pressure. I think I can, this program is not about that, but I think that is a story that needs to be covered, that you need not get into IIT, but you get into the mode of working hard and you will be successful in life.
All right. Well, stories of success that need equal highlighting, and that's the word that's coming from Kapil Gupta there. But, Ghulam, family pressure, you spoke to these kids, really lovely and bright children in the documentary as well. You must have had a word with their parents as well. Now, and I'm sure you would have asked them this particular question as well, because that's where the conversation and the ball starts rolling. Did you ask them about family and parental pressure? Is it a real thing from where they're looking at their, children's careers?
So, Kabir, talking about the pressure, when you go to Kota, you enter the railway station, and when you leave the railway station, you get on the escalator, and when you reach the platform, you see these huge billboards of rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. This is itself huge pressure, on the face of it. The moment you come out of Kota station, there is huge pressure. Talking about parents, there is a temple in Kota only where these kids go and pray, and there's a huge wall which is part of our documentary. There's a huge 2-3 walls where these kids write their wishes, NEET 2023, JEE 2023, God make me doctor, I don't need anything else, make me an engineer, I don't need anything else in life. So there only you meet parents who are accompanying these kids. Kota is a, it is a country in itself. These kids not only live in their hostels, they have their parents with them. We met one mother, she was from Bihar. She had one of her sons was there 2 years ago in Kota. He couldn't crack it. Now she's accompanying her daughter. There's a 8-9 month period you need to be with their kids. You ask these parents about the pressure. They say, they will tell you, as Kapil was mentioning, what else would our children do? डॉक्टर नहीं बनेगा, इंजीनियर नहीं बनेगा तो क्या करेगा? SSB का एग्जाम देगा क्या? बैंकिंग का एग्जाम देगा क्या? So as he was saying, so IIT JEE exam is the topmost exams. If they don't qualify these exams, these kids who don't qualify 2 years, 3 years, they give attempts twice, 3 times, then they may go to some lower rung examinations. But again, these parents are there, they are, I would say they are also compromising on their lives. They are leaving their hometowns. They are accompanying their kids in Kota. They want their kids to achieve their goals, their dreams. But again, it's somehow it's somehow become a status symbol now. You know, if you don't qualify an IIT, if you don't get into an IIT, you are you know, you don't do anything better in life. But as Kapil was mentioning, there are people who have not been to IITs, but they are doing better than people who are in IITs in life. There's Vijay Shekhar Sharma. He rightly mentioned he's the Paytm CEO, and he has not been to an IIT. There are many people who have not been to an IIT. But again, you know, IIT JEE has become a culture. It has become a social society. You know, it's become a symbol of aspiration. You know, if you go to even in Delhi, if you go to Mukherjee Nagar, you meet these kids. One of the kids in our story, you know, Yatharth is his name. He says, I want to become an actor. You ask him, why are you going to, you know, why are you even coaching, you know, to become an engineer?
He says because everybody
else is doing it. So it's that peer pressure. It's that, you know, everybody else is doing, why can't I? And if you don't crack IIT, you know, you see suicides. You mentioned 25 suicides last year. Of these, 15 were in Kota. So there is a kind of, you know, I wouldn't say it's totally a dark story. There is a bright side of the story, but there is a dark side of the story which I think needs to be looked into, which I think the government of the day, you know, we have this national education policy coming up. We're hearing that the government is thinking of regulating these IITs. Maybe, you know, the again we come to the bottom line. The crux of the story is our schools are not equipped enough to train students to crack competitive examinations, you know, which there is not even one school in the country which trains kids to crack IITs, you know. So that's why, since there is no facility in these schools, government schools or private schools, the kids are, you know, they want to achieve, you know, success in life. They want to go to IITs. They see these IITs doing bigger and better things. They see these IITs going abroad and becoming CEOs and you know, of big tech companies. So they have their dreams. But again, we have to give them some options, you know. There has to be some other sector where we create jobs, you know.
No, but I agree with you. If all the students are finally looking up to these competitive exams, why not, you know, start it early in the school times as well? And, you know, a bigger question that has now come up is whether schools are doing enough for these students to end up cracking these these competitive exams. Mr. Gupta, you know, the capitalist reflex here, we're talking about big numbers. From what I've heard from both the panelists, you and Ghulam here in the studio, it seems like there is no problem with the path, because the path is difficult. We all know that the path is difficult. It's about how you traverse this difficult path then becomes a question. Do our students have the right kind of facilities? Do they have the right kind of nurturing, moral support, parental support, whilst they are traversing this difficult path? Seems to be under question at this point in time. But the capitalist reflex, you know, I've seen it time and again. The minute you bring in a capitalist reflex, the party gets ruined. Is that the same case here?
To some extent, sure. At the end of the day, when someone goes to a campus to recruit students to join their company, they are trying to look at the best. And one way of finding the best fresh talent is to go to the best institutes, which are the IITs or the government medical colleges. So fundamentally, if you look at it, if we were like New Zealand or Australia, where number of applicants are less than number of seats that are available, then all of this problem would not be there. You are guaranteed a seat if you have chosen to take physics, chemistry, maths, or physics, chemistry, biology in the country. That's not the case today. So some of it, as I said, has to do with the fact that we are opportunity starved. There are limited options, and everyone wants to access that limited option, and that just, if you will, you can call it spoiling the party, or you can call it ek anar sau bimar, but that's where we find ourselves till the time we become a developed country. Just to be sure, we have 50,000 government medical college seats right now. In 2014, there were 30,000, and government's target in next 10 years is to go to 2 lakh. Once you get to that number, 2 lakh government medical college seats, some of this pressure is going to go away. So one part is government does its part, and the second part is if schools become better, where there is a lot of duplication that is happening. Kids study something in the school, they are not teaching well enough, so they have to go to a coaching in the afternoon or in the evening. If the schools were doing a very good job, kid gets the time for holistic development where he can go and play as well, because the coaching part has been taken care of in the school. So models have been developing around that as well. That could be a possible solution. But yes, It's not a great situation. If 25 kids have committed suicide, there is definitely something wrong, something which needs to be taken care
Certainly,
of.
certainly. You know, I just, before we wrap this discussion up, and I will again urge all my viewers to check the documentary out, you know, Mr. Gupta, talk about pressures to your own students. I mean, considering you'd have, you know, batches of students coming in, how do you help them alleviate pressure, you know, stress? Do you make it a point that you talk to them about this particular aspect as well, that this is part and parcel of the entire process of preparing yourself to go and write those competitive exams?
Yeah, so there are these phrases which float around, right? Do or die. So one thing which I've told people is there is nothing called do or die. This is just an exam. You're only 18 years old. Mukesh Ambani never went to an IIT. Gautam Adani never went to an IIT. Sun Pharma guy never went to an IIT. In fact, a lot of IITians and medical college people work in their companies, right? So don't assume that this is what is defining the worth of your life. It's just an exam. It gets you into the habit of working hard, becoming more disciplined, but that's it. Once you have gotten that habit, you get into the exam or not, it is a matter of a 3-hour performance. You're not able to perform at that time. That's perfectly fine. You'll be successful if you become hardworking and disciplined. So yes, we keep repeating it because it is very, very important to repeat. Somehow, the whole process, the power of the process of working hard gets lost by just looking at what the final result was. The final result actually is not that important. I'm 100% sure about it.
All right. So it's the journey that matters more than the final destination. Well, on that note, Mr. Gupta, many thanks for joining with us. Like you pointed out, for all the students out there, it's not a do or die situation. No exam is worth dying for. And the process and the journey, the hard work that you've put in is more significant than the final result. On that note, Ghulam, many thanks for joining with us. I'm going to again ask the audience to check your documentary out, The Rat Race. It's out there on News9 Plus. We're going to leave you with a snippet here. Many thanks for joining us here on News9 Live.
ये 2 साल ऐसा है कि मतलब अगर अच्छा कर गए तो लाइफ आगे अच्छा है, नहीं तो फिर और स्ट्रगल करना पड़ेगा आगे जाके।
एक लड़का निकला घर से, सर पे जिम्मेदारी बहुत सी, ये कोचिंग वोचिंग जैसे लगे पूरी मौत सी।
लगता है ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट पे हो ही जाए जल्दी।
For me, my competition is excellence. I want to become a software engineer.
I'll crack NEET and I'll be a doctor one day.
जैसे एक्टर बनना है, लेकिन इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि मतलब सभी लोग कर रहे हैं।
People will compromise on buying clothes. They will postpone buying a house. They will not buy a car, but they'll definitely send their kid to the best coach.
You lost childhood because coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कितनी टेंशन्स दिमाग में है, कितना ओवरलोड है, घर वालों की गालियों का भी ना कोई तोड़ है। एंजाइटी से भरे मेरे जितने भी विचार हैं, कल एंट्रेंस टेस्ट है और आज से बुखार है।
Hi, 1, 2, 3, mic check, mic check. My name is Nanya. Just like my name, my hobbies, interests and what intrigues me is also very unique. I am 13 years old. I just started 8th grade. When I was just starting 6th grade and coming to DPS RK Puram, I felt that now things are going to go notch higher. So I felt that Fiji was something which is apt to start at a young age, so that you are strengthening your concepts and you have everything right when you go into higher classes.
My name is यथार्थ शुक्ला। पढ़ाई में मैं कभी मतलब फर्स्ट नहीं आया कभी भी, मतलब कभी भी नहीं, हमेशा सेकंड थर्ड ही रहा हूँ।
What is a 14-year-old? A 14-year-old is a child, but you made him into a miniature adult. It's also that there's so much of aspiration within children and there isn't a realistic connection between their goals and their aspirations.
Competitive exams, NEET, IIT, CLAT, all these exams are largely a passport to social mobility. If you are able to do well in these exams, it doesn't matter who your father is.
You'll be surprised how many students I ask, what is your strength, what are you good at, and they go, mom. If I ask a parent, what is your child good at, they may not be able to answer it because they never thought what the child is good at. They just thought this is what the child should be doing. They should be doing that.
फिर बजा अलार्म, बने पलटे चलते चलते ऐसी रेस में है पहुंचे जहां कॉम्पिटिटर बहुत। कोटा जाने वाले बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में। कोटा जाके किस्मत चमकेगी या फिर वहीं पे रह जाएगी तेरी सारी फैंटेसी। ये कोटा वोटा सपना था, सपने जी रहे हैं, वैसे कोचिंग में भी बस थोड़े दिन ही रह रहे हैं। करो मेहनत मेहनत रातें बातें जाग के, मंजिल तो मिलेगी बेटा खुद पीछे भाग के।